back to BoatFools Sailing. Thanks for tuning in last week, and thanks for watching this week. This week, I am flying solo. My little Canadian friend is on the West Coast. He'll be back next week, so don't panic. He's still around. But I'm in Monmouth, Maine. It's the middle of January, and it's very cold. It's 20 degrees out, and I'm up on the deck of a 1982 Catalina 38. And the reason I selected this boat this week is because I think it's loaded with potential, which means, of course, that it's a work in progress, which means, of course, what you're going to see today is going to require a little imagination to see the big picture. So be patient, stick with me. It's all going to come together. Now, the Catalina 38 is an interesting backstory to it. At the time this boat was made, or prior to this boat being made, Catalina was prolific at making boats that were 20 to 30 feet. And Frank Butler, the owner, wanted something bigger to add to his fleet of boats. And at that time, in 1978, I believe, Yankee Yachts had just gone out of business. And so he bought the mold to the Yankee 38. And the Yankee 38 is based loosely on a Ted Turner boat called Lightning, which was an aluminum-hulled boat made under the IOR racing rules and specifications, a one-tonner, and it did pretty well. So the Yankee 38 was a really, really pretty boat, one of my more favorite designs, beautiful tumble home. Some people don't like it, I love it. And this Catalina 38 is based on that. Now, when Frank bought the molds, he did modify it a little bit. The Yankee 38 was a skeg-hung rudder and with a fin keel, and Frank modified this to a semi-balanced spade rudder, changed the keel configuration a little bit, but the typical Catalina 38 came with a keel that had a draft of nearly 7 feet. We're looking at one today that's got a shoal draft of 4.5 feet, which is going to be better for shallower anchorages and whatnot. But in the meantime, like I said, this boat has been torn apart, and it's in various stages of being put back together. The list price is $29,500, and I'll get to more of that in a minute. But the point is, I see this as an opportunity for somebody. These boats are quick. They're great for coastal cruising, and they'd be great for club racing or beer can racing or whatever kind of racing you want to do. They're actually a very fast boat. Its PHRF rating is 114. It's perf rating. To put that in perspective, a CNC 40 that's well decked out is about 96 to 100 perf rating. A Sabre 36 is about 123. Our Morgan 38-2 is 155, and I know that because I just got my perf certificate. So this boat is a very quick boat, and the one with the deeper fin keel is actually very quick upwind and points very well. I can't speak to the shoal draft, I just don't know. But let's go take a look. So like I said, I want you to keep an open mind. Let's go have some fun. All right, so we're going to start down below today because it's pretty cold out and I've got some lights set up. But the first thing I want you to note is the entranceway of the companionway. It is very, very sizable. And there's a nice bridge deck here. And as Canadian Ken would probably say, I will have no problem getting down in here. However, I'm going to point out that there are no companionway steps, but I'm going to just show you how easy it is to get in here. But nice and wide, easy access. And here we are down below. So come on. All right, everybody, here we are down below, and you can see immediately that the headroom is pretty decent. I'm standing off to the starboard side a little bit. It's about 6'1½". If I step into the middle of the boat, it's probably closer to 6'3". So decent headroom down here, and it's a fiberglass headliner, which is nice for maintenance purposes. You've got one center hatch here, and it is a keel step mast. There's your base down there, and what I'm going to show you now is going to require your imagination that we talked about in the opening. The boat has been torn apart, and a lot of the wood, including drawers and cabinetry, has been moved off-site to be revarnished, which most of it's been done, and I can show you pictures of that. But so you've got to just imagine this all put back together because it's in various stages of a refit. So before we continue, I'm just going to mention that purchase price of $29,500. That includes the owner finishing the wiring job on this boat because it needs to be rewired, and he started the process. He's put in some new LED lights that are dimmable, and you can turn them red for night sailing and so forth. But there's still a lot to be done, and he will do that as part of the purchase price, whatever that final purchase price is. But that includes it, and he will lower the price if you want to do it yourself. But let's continue on. We are coming into the galley, and you can see here's some of the woodwork that has been revarnished and put back in the boat, and it's beautiful. And so when you look around and you see these images, I want you to imagine what the rest of it will look like when it's reinstalled. Now, The cabin sole is part fiberglass and part teak and holly, and that's been replaced and is new. It's a veneer over marine ply, I believe. So that's all looking pretty. You've got a double sink here, which is nice, and a nice gimbaled LP range, okay? And you can see here some more varnish work that has been completed. And there is still work to be done down below here. So like I said, it is a work in progress, but this boat has good bones. Now, I believe the ice box is under here, and I can't get to there right now. This boat also, see here more missing components that are all off-site varnished. Here we have an inverter. Here's your Raycor filter. Here is your fuel tank here, which I believe is 30 gallons. It's aluminum. And here is your universal diesel engine with nice access here. Now, the engine hours are unknown, but he brought it back from Massachusetts. It runs like a top, he says. And he's done all the maintenance on it in terms of oil changes and so forth. So panning back around, everything that is missing off this boat, like the door underneath the sink here in the galley, that is offsite being revarnished. So you can imagine what this might look like all put back together. All right, so there is a table that goes here, which collapses down to make this into a double berth here, which is sizable. And it's a nice big main salon area. Then you've got a starboard settee over here. And again, there are cushions for all of that. And of course, we saw it earlier, but you've got a nice big quarter berth back here just aft of the nav station. All right, so let's go up into the view berth area. Again, cabinetry missing, drawers missing, all being varnished off-site. So it's going to look pretty snappy when it's back together, and it just needs a good clean. All right, the view berth is being used as a storage facility right now. As you can see, there is your Garmin radar dome. So it does have radar, it does talk to the GPS chart plotter, and these view berth cushions are a little bit older and probably need to be tossed out, but they are functional, and we have some more drawers missing that are being varnished. And this is your transducer down here, and but a nice big view berth actually. The hatch is aftermarket and needs to be finished out around with some trim. That used to be sort of a translucent fiberglass hatch, and this has been replaced with something a little more light producing, but and probably needs to be replaced because I do see what looks to be a crack. But coming aft a little bit, we step into the head, which is big, and it needs a good clean, obviously. And again, pieces removed to be varnished, and this boat needs a scrub. But you do have a shower, you do have a hatch for ventilation here, and a port on the side that opens. And here is a forward chain plate, which apparently have all been inspected. There is a survey that was completed in 2023 when they bought the boat. So that is accessible to potential interested buyers. Now, a lot of the plumbing has been replaced, as you can see down below, and there is a macerator and there is a Y valve. So that means there is a black water holding tank, which you can pump out with the macerator when you're offshore, or you can be pumped out at a dock or by a service. And it does have a Y valve, so you can pump directly, which you shouldn't do. All right, so the head is fine. The door is off, all being revarnished. Here is your primary chain plate here. Sizable. These have all been inspected, like I said, as part of the survey. Here is the aft one. All that looks good as well. The wood does need some attention down here. It needs to be oiled or varnished. There's your starboard chain plate, and the other one must be up in here where we can't see it at the moment. In any event, like I said, there is a survey that is available for people who are interested. So, this is a pretty big boat, and the prowess of these on the water is renowned. Fast boats, fun boats, and can be single-handed, double-handed. It's got a high aspect ratio rig on it, and she's, like I said, going to sail well with a big jib and her main. And I think, you know, if you've got the appetite for a little work and you've got some good DIY skills, this boat could be pretty sweet and a lot of fun. So let's go look on deck. All All right, everybody, I'm up on the bow, and the first thing I want to show you is your windlass. And apparently it works. It needs to be rewired, so that is a nice feature to have. Here's your pulpit. There's your anchor roller up there, and all this looks to be in good shape. I am going to point out that the lifelines are older and a little rust coming through, so you're going to want to replace those. That's about $1,000 on a 38-foot boat. The tow rail on this is very reminiscent of a CNC, and that's great for attaching blocks to if you need to, if you're flying a chute or something, really handy to have. The decks are dirty and they need to be cleaned. The owner was planning on repainting these decks, but I bet with a good clean and some touch-up they would look fine for the time being. The side decks look wide, though I understand by looking at this that with the shrouds in and your jib fairlead back there, there's not going to be, without issue trying to get up here on the bow. There's some toe stubbers there, but the cabin top is wide enough and clear enough that that's probably the way to go, and would probably be pretty easy to access the bow from. But all of this just is dirty. It's just grime. It's not the fiberglass itself. But anyway, nice and wide up here. Coming back aft, we've got our traveler system here, which I haven't seen it really like this before. With the hatch open, you can see right down around your traveler down into below there. And then you've got a frame for a Dodger, and I understand the Dodger needs to be replaced, but you do have the frame, which is nice. And then the cockpit is nice and big, nice high coamings. And then you've got some great winches there, big primary self-tailing ones. Secondaries are also self-tailing, and a big solar array there. That goes on a solar tower, which I'll show you. You've got a table, which right now is halfway down there for dining and cocktails, and a nice helm station, which we'll take a look at in a minute. But you also have a gas grill. So a lot to like about this boat. You just need to imagine it cleaned up and ready to go. And I think, like I said, it's an opportunity. All right, so now I'm sitting back after the helm station, and there is a nav pod under there with your Garmin GPS, which, like I said, also has your radar, and it does overlay, which is nice. So nice big wheel, nice grate down on the cockpit floor there, which is nice. Here are your engine controls, your tachometer and ignition, and it's definitely a little jammed up back here with all this stuff, but by and large, visibility from back here is fantastic. And looking up toward the bow, you can see that this is a big boat, but I like it. And I'm just going to say that before I forget, I think I mentioned that she holds about 30 gallons of diesel and about 40 gallons of water. And when we go down below, which we're going to do next, onto the hard to take a look at the hull, she is wrapped in plastic, so we can't see the top sides, but we can see the bottom. The top sides were all taken down and faired and barrier coated, as well as the bottom. And the top sides have a couple of coats of dark blue all grip. And that was rolled and tipped, and it needs to be sprayed to really have the proper finish to it. But it turned out pretty well, apparently. But he does have paint that comes with it that would be used for that. He also has gold paint for the cove stripe and white paint for the boot stripe that he is going to put on. So a little work left to be done on the top sides, but below the waterline, it was all brought down, refaired, and barrier coated, and has bottom paint on it. It looks terrific. So let's go take a look. All right, so we're down on the hard here. We're looking at the underbelly of the Catalina 38. So I wish you weren't covered, but you can sort of get a sense of the beautiful tomahome that I like so much on this boat. And we'll put a picture up on the screen so you can see it. But she is shrink wrapped. And I want to point out that whoever did this shrink wrapping did a really great job, because they put some standoffs here with this foam so the plastic's not against the paint job on the boat, which can cause damage. But the owner sanded the hull down all the way and re-barrier coated and put the bottom paint on. So that was a massive job that has been done. So we're just going to back out here so you can get a sense of this boat and how big she is. But did a really nice job underneath here. It's smooth as can be, and slap a coat of paint on that and the spring and you're good to go. But here's a good look at that shoal draft keel. And we saw some kill bolts inside, and there was a Catalina smile on here, but he took all of it down and cut it all out and filled it in and refiberglassed, and looks like he did a beautiful job. So coming aft here, you can see your prop shaft, 3-bladed prop. We got a zinc on here, and your shaft strut here. All this looks good. And here is your semi-balanced spade rudder, and that is a big rudder, so that's going to give you some great maneuverability. And coming aft further, you can see that really pretty transom under there. But we'll put a picture up so you can see what that looks like. But really pretty design on these boats. And there is the radar tower and a frame for a bimini. So all of that is there and in place. And the boat does come with the jack stands, by the way. This sort of gives you a good sense of that tumble home. It's exaggerated, of course, because of the standoffs. But as I mentioned, it comes with more paint for the hull. It has an extra few gallons to spray that if you want to get a real nice all grip finish on it. But apparently the job you did turned out really great, and you could just use it as is. But a nice boat. She is a moderate displacement and a very stiff boat, and a comfort ratio of nearly 30. So a nice comfortable ride. And again, that shoal draft keel, for me, that's winner chicken dinner, because that's going to enable you to get into some really cool anchorages versus a regular Catalina 38 with that nearly 7-foot draft. So let's go up top and wrap it up. All right, everybody, that was your 1982 Catalina 38. Now, I wish Canadian Ken were here so we could banter back and forth about this boat, but I just want to end by saying this. This was a very successful boat for Catalina. Nearly 370 of these were made, okay? So make no mistake, a very popular boat. But I think what makes this one special is its shoal draft keel of only 4.5 feet, because the sister ship has a draft of nearly 7 feet. So I think this opens up a whole array of opportunities for this boat in terms of cruising, in terms of sailing in Maine, off the coast of Massachusetts, the Chesapeake, the Bahamas, Florida, and the islands. I mean, a 7-foot draft is going to be limiting in some aspects. It's going to sail better upwind, but this boat's going to get you into those sweet anchorages that other boats can't get to. And at 38 feet and nearly 12 feet wide, plenty of room on board. She'll sleep 6. I might add some more water capabilities to this boat in terms of fresh water, but the fact that you have 2 sets of sails, a windlass, a GPS chart plotter with radar, you're pretty much good to go. But make no mistake, she needs some work. And a lot of work has been done, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. So if you've got some DIY capabilities and you're able to work with the seller in terms of what he can do or what you can do, I think you can arrive at a price that makes sense for this boat. And a lot of the heavy lifting has been done, so it's really a lot of cosmetic work that needs to be done at this point, including the wiring. So I really appreciate you tuning in, really appreciate you supporting us the way you have. And so please don't forget to click like, and please share, and please subscribe to our newsletter, and stay tuned because we have some really fun boats coming up. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.